Hey everybody, Tyler with Race Pace here. Just wanted to walk you guys through a race I did earlier today. I ended up winning the race, started for 5th, but I just kind of wanted to show what it looks like to work with traffic and to work with your competitors around you to make sure that everybody can continue moving quickly and safely as a group. So first off, as we get started here, what was really important was that I got a really good jump, paying attention to the leader rather than focusing or waiting for the green, because ultimately he's the one who determines when we go green. So as we kind of approach in here, I see that he's choking up, and so that means that it's time to be ready on the gas. I'm off the brakes now, kind of just waiting with some maintenance throttles. So that way, as soon as I see him take off, I'm able to give it the beans. Gives me a great run. I get a jump on the Lamborghini behind me. I fold into the guy who's got the most space between me and him, which is the Audi. This will also allow me to run a middling line, which you'll see me do. Kind of just choke up on the inside here, make sure that I'm giving space to the guy behind, while also running wide for 3rd place. Now you can see here, does get a little bit dicey, and I swap lines about mid-corner here going through 3. I cut inside after that guy is very, obviously not in control of the car. I could see that he's kind of suffering for the front end grip, so I'm just trying to run a different line and not necessarily get by him. Fold in right behind him now as we approach a good passing corner. I'm going to present myself here. And I keep a nice steady line, and I try to get him in the braking zone. Because I presented myself well there, I was able to lessen the brakes and kind of just match him and just get in front of him just the teeniest bit in order to complete the pass safely and communicatively. Now we've got our eyes set on 2nd place. At this point, I'm just focused on trying to find my rhythm now. I'm out of the dust. Now I just need to work on catching up to the guy in front, and that may take some time. So we're going to go ahead and speed up a little bit here. Love this track. It's really great. One of the unique things about Sebring is just that it's so bumpy. And so the setup, big accident behind. Didn't notice that before. But one of the nice things about Sebring being so bumpy is it means setup is everything. So I've managed to keep my setup with large amounts of rebound, so the car looks mostly stable over all the bumps and over the curbs. I am very choosy about which curbs I take because this car can get disturbed very easily. So it's really about keeping the inputs as smooth as possible in the McLaren. It's a wonderful car. It was really quick here this week. Now, one of the things that I found to be really valuable in racing this closely, especially on the middle tiers of iRating, is that people are more intimidated by how close, by if you're staying behind them for longer, rather than if you're trying to make moves on them all the time. So my focus here is just to get as close to his bumper as possible, and then just wait for him to make a mistake so I can get by. I'm not going to try to force anything. We're still very early on in the race, only 5 minutes in, so really no reason to be pushing my luck at all. So now as I start getting closer to the back of him, I'm going to start short shifting. And ultimately why I'm doing this is just to help save gas and to try to make as much use of all the torque in the power band as I can. I'm also trying to make sure that I'm running shallow to him, just to make sure that he knows that I'm there. There's so many different lines that you can run through. For Sunset, I like to do that short line when I'm following because of the run to keep up with him. You do sacrifice a little entry speed, but then he's looking in his mirrors and not focusing on his exit. Just staying tucked in neatly behind him. I'm still kind of studying him here. I want to better understand the driver to make sure that when I make the move, it's going to be a move that sticks, rather than doing one just opportunistically. Continuing to stay behind him. I'm gaining in the braking zone. I've noticed that the McLaren here does much better in the braking zones compared to the Ferrari. The Audi, I think, is the only car that really beats it under brakes. I can see that the guy ahead is pushing really hard to stay in front of me, so I know that the mistake will come. It's just a matter of biding my time. Much closer now, within 0.3. As we start approaching closer and closer to his rear bumper, we're going to start running just a slightly off line from him, offsetting the car so only one of my lights will appear in his side view mirror. This is to help with some downforce from the dirty air, so that way I can maintain my mid-corner speed, but also it's an intimidation factor. Got to get some of the air for the turning and braking here, which is why I dove out a little bit. Was not trying to go for a move, it's just about maintaining that front downforce. Oof, somebody took a hard hit behind. Now I make my presentation.
2 litres left. We're running on fumes,
cut
mate.
in tight, just like I did before.
This lap, please, Tyler.
Be aggressive on the throttle. And get the pass done. Now it's eyes front, trying to beat down on this time in front of me and get the gap behind me. Being conscious of going into the hairpin, because people like to kind of lunge a bit as you enter this corner, especially if they just got passed. Just not being intimidated by him and taking my time, focusing on slow in, fast out. Guy behind has to get around me. I don't have to really worry about him too much. Just got to be safe if he tries to go for it. Alright, now that we're starting to get the gap. I'm really going to start focusing on pounding out on the front. Taking my time. I'm using more of the gearing now because I'm no longer in somebody's slipstream. At 1.3, you are kind of in the slip, but not really enough to make a difference. So I'm more worried about breaking off from the guy behind. At this point, you can see I run a different line than I did before. Ferrari trying to match that inner line I was doing earlier. Could see he's really struggling there. Alright, so I see that Ollie makes a mistake. So now I know it's basically go time. And it's time to turn it up to 11. Especially now that I got a comfortable gap to the guy behind, I can now sufficiently take risks without too much concern of losing my position. This range, just focused on being in the slip and trying to get right back up on his bumper, just like the guy before. Studying where he likes to make mistakes.
Don't let this guy intimidate you.
Looking at him, you can kind of see how the front end is a little lazy to turn in on his car. So that's something I noted. made me think that he's going to start really struggling in some of these mid to high speed corners, and sure enough, in Tower he had a really crappy
Gaining
exit.
on this car. The gap is 0.27.
And so that's where I decide I'm going to make my pass in the future, is right after Tower going into this set, because I know I have a much better run on him, and worst case scenario, if I can't get by him then, I can definitely get by him in Le Mans. Ignoring the guy behind. Looks like he might have gotten a slowdown. I wasn't too worried about him diving out on me like that. Running my different line to him just to make sure that I can get a really good exit. I don't care too much about being right on him or trying to make an attempt into turn 1. It's all about focusing on that place that I chose later on in the track. Presenting myself so he can see where I'm at. I don't need to be right up behind him quite yet, which was why I was not in his slipstream. I want him to see me. That's more important than getting the slip, because I know I'm faster in the technical section. We can see here I'm much better on the brakes, continuing to run my line, not looking right at the back of his car, because you can't occupy the same space as him. So it's making sure I'm looking where I want to go and not what I'm trying to avoid. Knowing his fronts are a little overheated, I know he's going to overcook the entry here, so I'm going to make sure I can get all of my braking done quickly and efficiently. Slow in, fast out. See, he overdoes it.
We need to be in front of this guy.
And I could get right in behind him. Now it's full pelt. This is where the timing is going to become everything. He goes to defend, so I take the opportune line. Just focus on my racing line. I want to make sure I can get a good exit here, which is exactly what happens. Still right up and behind him. Half off to present as well as preserve downforce. Present, so that way he knows what line I'm taking. He takes the inside line. Brake earlier and brake more so you can get a fast run off it. And now I've got a run going on him going into this more technical section here. Thankfully, he's respectful and dives out. I just take the wider line, and I'm able to complete the pass. Well, that's really all I have for you guys. I ended up just kind of finishing out the rest of the race in this position. It was a little sketchy at some points because Ali had a varying pace. Like I said before, I thought it was because he was just overdoing the front tires, so as soon as he cooled down those tires, he was able to pick up his pace again. Really tough to break the slipstream, but once I did, it was all in the bag. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Feel free to comment below. I'll also have a link to my Discord where you can get the setup I used in this race. I am now 2 for 2 for my Sebring races. Actually, I should say 2 for 3. The first one I got killed in. But this is doing me fairly well. Granted, I'm only at about 2K strength of field. So let me know what you think, guys. Hope to see you around the Discord. Go fast and take chances.